Yeah, this is going to be fun. Oh, gosh. Y'all can be mad at me. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. I'm your host, Jay, with your favorite co-host, Jimmy. Thank you for checking us out here on YouTube, as well as wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you are there, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Man, just give us 5 anyway. Gifted. On today's episode of Unfair Sports, we're going to jump right into whose win was better, Chiefs or Cowboys. OU and Georgia debate in college football. We've got ourselves a steamy $7 challenge. And we're going to talk about some NFL teams that seem like they're free-falling. And we're going to do some midseason awards. Because why not? We're at the midseason of the NFL season. Hit us up on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906, and let us know what you think of the show. Give us your strongest opinions. Maybe you don't like what Jimmy says. Maybe you love what I said, or you hate what I said, and you love what Jimmy said. Whichever one that is, please hit us up on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906.
Jam Master J. Juan Claude Van Damn, what's going on?
What it do, babe? Man, you love that handle, don't you?
That's one of the best I've ever seen in my life.
That name on there. So my Twitter account, at Smiznith, at SMIZNITH, I put my name as Juan Claude Van Damn. And he has been laughing ever since.
Oh, that's one of the best, yeah.
My second, the one I liked before that, I had Bishop Don Juwan. Sycamore. That one was up there, but I think the Juwan.
Your Twitter handles are always funny.
I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there to where it's nothing but comedy. But Jimmy, man, it was a weekend.
It was a really good weekend, really good sports weekend. A lot of some questions got answered, some questions got asked that have not been answered.
We've
seen a lot. Yeah. So in particular this week, Jay,
we're gonna go ahead and just jump right in, baby.
Yeah. So two of the biggest storylines heading into this week were the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys off of a just dismantling at the hands of the Denver Broncos on their own home field somehow. So the questions were, how's Dallas going to look in this game against Atlanta, who are fresh off of a victory against the New Orleans Saints, right? And then you had Sunday Night Football. You had the Kansas City Chiefs going against the Raiders. The Chiefs had been winning their games, but the offense looked broken. Mahomes looked broken. People didn't know exactly what to expect, if they would figure out a way to turn it around. So that's what we had going into the weekend, and boy, did those questions get answered, Jay.
They did.
With the Chiefs dismantling the Las Vegas Raiders on the road, 41-14. Patrick Mahomes on his way to 406 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. I would say that he's back to being Patrick Mahomes, perhaps. We'll talk more about that.
Sure.
And then the Dallas Cowboys in what was a revenge game for Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator, former head coach of the Falcons. I think that was the Falcons JV squad that got beat 43-3. Dak, clinical as always, 296, 2 touchdowns. Zeke, 2 touchdowns on the ground as well, in a easy, impressive victory for the Cowboys. So, Jay, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys, whose win would you say was better?
I think it was the Chiefs. The Chiefs needed this more than anybody else's. The Chiefs went to Las Vegas and won. Even though I went to look back at the past games, Chiefs been beating the crap out of the Raiders in Las Vegas and Oakland over the last few years. So it's not like it's unknown. But last year, the Raiders looked like they were taking the next step, and they looked like they were becoming a team that was going to be able to challenge them in the AFC West. So the excitement about them, to me, was like, okay, they start the season off well. They looked like they were going to be something, and then all of a sudden they forgot how to play football again. So I think it's that one, mainly because of this. This is the thing with the Cowboys. The Cowboys played who? The Atlanta Falcons. Yeah. They played the Falcons at home. They played the Falcons, a team who has been free-falling ever since they lost a 28-3 lead to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Sorry, Falcons fans, for reminding you. But that's what's happened. They have not been good. Matt Ryan looks old, and they keep investing in him as if he's going to get better. And he has these games where he throws for like 100 yards and looks really bad. So why would I think that the Cowboys beating the Falcons that we expect they should beat, when the Chiefs are going against a team who challenged them last year, and we thought going into the season the Raiders looked better, and they went ahead and dismantled them, especially as this Chiefs team has looked like they had fallen apart halfway through the season. They're now reeling. They're doing better. There's no reason for me to ever think that the Cowboys win against the Falcons makes sense, because this is what we're doing every week. We're judging both teams every single week, and I have absolutely no clue why, outside of just to create content because we're bored. Because you can't go week to week when it comes to the NFL, and so Chiefs win. Of course, it's the Chiefs win.
I'm going to say the Dallas win was better. And, Jay, a big part of the reason why is because I have so many questions about the Chiefs win in general. It's almost by default, because you have a Raiders team coming in fresh off of a loss against the New York Giants, which no team should ever lose at this point to any New York team. So I question them as well. One thing I didn't think about, you just mentioned, is that they only seem to play the Chiefs tough on the road. But when the Chiefs come to them, they don't know how to play football anymore. And that's exactly what was going on in this. This defensive game plan for the Raiders, probably a mock of what everyone else had been using, the too high safety constantly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was poor scheming or poor coaching, but they went away from that way too quickly, which to me means poor play calling, we'll say. And so against a team like that, who didn't have sense enough to bend but don't break, stay in the too high safety, and then, yes, they're going to push the ball down the field, but that gets squeezed when you get into the red zone, and that's to your advantage. So I think that what I saw, and it's surprising to say this given that they did score 14 and the Falcons only scored 3, but this defensive game plan that I saw out of them was just pathetic, and they couldn't stop turning the ball over. Derek Carr looked like Derek Carr that we've been used to seeing, to where he has flashes of being a really good quarterback, and then he has an eyes closed, but I'm going to say your hand hit my arm interception, which technically is what happened. I give that. And then you had Deshaun Jackson.
He threw it to Daniel Sorensen, too.
Right. So when you're throwing it to Daniel Sorensen, that means you have serious problems with your vision. And Deshaun Jackson makes a great catch, great play, and then turns it into just a back-breaking, bone-crushing play and giving up the fumble.
A Deshaun Jackson play?
A Deshaun Jackson play. So this Falcons team, honestly, if I were to look at the two of them, if they played head-to-head, and they may have already this season, I'm not sure, but I probably would put my money on the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons coming into this game were coming into the game on better footing than the Raiders were, and this performance that I saw by Dallas, which is the real reason why it's the better victory to me, is how dominant they were in all 3 phases of the game.
Yeah.
They were able to obviously put up points. They were able to limit Matt Ryan to what I believe is 117 passing yards. And they were able to have a special teams, score a touchdown on special teams, which is hard enough.
Yeah.
So with all 3 phases locked in, all 3 phases ready to erase the memory of that loss last week to the Denver Broncos, I walked away from both games feeling that, yes, the Chiefs, they did look closer to what we're used to seeing, but I was just thoroughly impressed by what the Dallas Cowboys did.
I'm glad that you were impressed with that. I'm going to let you have that because getting the defensive touchdown is good. Trayvon Diggs is stupid impressive. Yeah. He is stupid impressive. And he's stupid impressive because I think he's the closest thing we've seen to a Darrelle Revis or a Deion Sanders where he can, in theory, shut down the side of the field, except for teams are still going after Diggs because they know that they're going to be able to get yards off of him. It's really weird. It's a weird dynamic because Diggs has 8 interceptions this season. I think he's returned, 2 for a touchdown this year, if not 3. So he has 8 interceptions in 9 games. Diggs is eating on that side of the field. And it's funny because that interception he got, I was listening to Pro Football Focus earlier, and there's another funny to come out of that is Diggs looked like he was dusted in the play. At the same time, it looked like he was in the wrong position in the play. He was, because there was a guy. I guess there was someone doing God, I can't think of the name of the play off the top of my head now. They're going across the field. And I think they believe that that's who he was supposed to defend, and he didn't defend him. And then somehow he was able to intercept the pass that he was not supposed to intercept.
See, and that's a big part of the reason why I don't think he's that much like Deion Sanders or Revis, because they were great sort of on ball.
Yes.
Cornerback, shutdown cornerback.
He's not
Trayvon, he just somehow knows where to be.
Well, he's
at
a ball
the right time.
hawk. Yeah, he's a great ball hawk.
Yeah.
And he gets to it every time and he gets these interceptions. You're like, wait, was that where you're supposed? I mean, it's a great play because you got the pick, but was that where you're supposed to be? But overall, that's the thing that's impressing me out of this Dallas Cowboys. Their defense has a tendency of doing stuff like this. It's feast or famine with him. We're going to repeat that. I'm going to say it over and over. He lives and buys by the interception. Mm-hmm. And
True.
Luckily, he's living more than he's dying, even though statistically he still is a really bad coverage corner on the yards he's giving up. So teams are still going after him. So it's not like Deion and Reeves in that capacity. It's just it feels like when people go to his side, they're like, okay, we're going to get yards or we're going to turn it over. So we're going to go ahead and roll the dice on it. And rolling the dice on it doesn't seem like it's going very well in the end. So, but the Chiefs, to me, that was more. They needed that. They needed to show that Mahomes, even with all his flaws this year, can go out there against technically a defense that's supposed to be decent and put up numbers.
Yeah, I mean, they wake up feeling good. All the Kansas City Chiefs, all the Mahomes fans, such as myself, we feel good waking up that he looks closer to the way he's supposed to, which invariably means that the team, the Chiefs, looks closer to what we're used to seeing out of them. But against this Raiders team, I can't put stock in this. I can't trust that this offense is now broken. Now, what I did like about what I saw is that they were running a more, I guess what I would call a more Sean McVay, more Kyle Shanahan type West Coast offense in the sense that is based off of putting your receivers in positions to get yak. And I don't know if you know this, in this game, they got 260 yards worth of yards after the catch.
Oh, my God.
Which I think is second most, I want to say, this season in any game this season.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they did that. They did that fantastically. They really did. But I don't think they're going to be able to duplicate that, Jay, because I don't know if you know this or not, but do you know who the Chiefs play next week?
I mean, I'm going to have to search it. I actually do not know.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, so it's perfect that we're talking about them
Dallas
at this moment.
Cowboys.
It's lined up. The stars aligned.
Yes.
Everything is perfect with this.
Because
now we can say that the Chiefs are going to demolish the Cowboys in that game.
No chance. No chance.
Wait,
the
no?
Chiefs are going to lose, and they're playing at home. They're going to lose this game.
Wait, you're saying the Cowboys is going to go to Kansas City and take that dub.
Take that dub in order to show you that their win was more impressive than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. $5 bet. You want a seafood lunch bet?
How do I feel?
We're going to be straight up. We're going to go spreads. We're going to go Cowboys and Chiefs.
Straight up. Let's make it interesting. Let's have some fun with this. Want to have some fun with this?
I want to have some fun. Let's go.
$50.
Give it to me. Giving them
Cowboys fans. Y'all better show up for me. I'm not even playing, for real.
You better show up for them because, boy, if they take that L, and I try not to rub it in too much, but, boy, I'm going to rub this one in.
$50 is enough. Yeah, no. I mean,
and we going for real. And Jimmy's feeling himself today, so.
Yeah, $50 that the Dallas Cowboys are going to go to Kansas City, and they're going to win this game and show you who the more impressive team is, and that Kansas City Chiefs team is not who they think they are. Again. Defensively, the Cowboys are 7th DVOA, while the Raiders are 14th. So actually, it's not bad being middle of the road like that. So who's one DVOA, by the way?
Defensively,
yeah,
the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Buffalo Bills, followed by Arizona, the Saints, the Rams, and then the Patriots.
Okay.
We'll talk about them another time.
We will.
Another thing that we always talk about here on our Mondays with Unfair Sports is the
news.
And now, Jimmy has the news.
Thank you, Wendy. All right, Washington football team fans, as impressed as we are and happy for you that your team, well, most of us, that your team defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, reigning Super Bowl champs, 29-19.
I'm going to hold it back.
It did come with some consequences in the sense that it was confirmed today that star defensive end Chase Young is out for the season with a leg injury, but essentially a torn ACL. So hopefully he can be back by training camp, but he is out for the season.
Yeah, that sucks. I feel really bad for that. There's so much discourse around this that people are saying that Washington should have drafted a quarterback instead of Chase Young. And I understand that sentiment because right now they're struggling at quarterback. They shouldn't have been relying on other pieces to magically populate. But dude was a great anchor to that defense. They were really good last year. I think they took some step backwards this year, but I feel bad for him because I really like Chase Young, and I think that he's going to be an impact for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I do too. And especially in a game like this where you think, okay, we beat the defending champs. I mean, there are a number of reasons why. I know we're not better than them, but perhaps this could be the beginning of us turning our season more in the right direction. Probably won't make the playoffs, but at least to be headed in the right direction going into the offseason because they were fresh off of a bye week as well. So it looks like they fixed some things on offense and on defense. But for this to happen, it's just deflating. In a sense, I'm glad they won this game for him. so that it wasn't all for nothing. But yeah, I mean, there's no replacement. He's got unicorn qualities at the defensive end position.
That's true.
So we'll see what he does next season.
What's next?
All right, so up next, I don't know if you got a chance, Jay, to see the Eagles at the Broncos game. The Eagles were pretty dominant in that game, but there was a play where Darius Slay of the Eagles got it was either a fumble recovery or an interception, and he sought to return it. So as he's returning it, Teddy Bridgewater, the quarterback for the Broncos, has basically 5 inches where all he has to do is tackle him, trip him up, get in his way, and he gave about as much effort for that as Cam Newton did in the Super Bowl, picking up the fumble against the Denver Broncos. And after that, part of what he explained was that he was trying to maybe veer him over to where one of his other defenders are, or where one of the offensive players are to tackle him. But he has since apologized for his lack of effort in this play. Did you see this play?
I did not, but I need to go search for it because, to be honest, do we expect a quarterback to actually tackle somebody?
No, well,
like him, like his size, with his injury history.
I mean, pinch him or something.
Did you even pitch him?
Right. Because I saw this happen. I was like, okay, maybe he thought that they blew the whistle and he's just returning it for nothing. But no, this is deflating. This is the kind of play that makes it to where you may not be the quarterback for this team next year.
Oh, he won't be next year.
Yeah, it sucks for Teddy. All right. So lastly, Jay, if you've ever wanted to own shares in an NFL team, well, the obvious team is going to give you the opportunity, Jay, because the Green Bay Packers are offering ownership shares for the first time in 10 years, $300 per share. But to be honest, the stock has no value, pays no dividends, and will allow you no say in team matters. But they're offering the shares anyway for just the 6th time in franchise history, and they're going to use that money in order to help upgrade Lambeau Field. So are you going to become part owner of the Packers?
No, I'm out on that. I'm not a Packers fan, so I have no reason to invest money into their field. But if you are a Packers fan, I think it's actually a really good idea that they're crowdsourcing instead of going for tax money. Mm-hmm. That's a good angle, even though they probably still go after tax money too. I mean, I don't know their history when it comes to that, but I think it's cool to say that you have a plaque in your office that says, hey, I am a part owner of the Green Bay Packers.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about buying a few shares, getting my plaque, and then trolling our good friend Drewski about the fact that I own more of the Packers than he does.
That's a good point.
What do you think he might? Think he might like that?
Oh, he'll hate your guts.
I could sell my shares to him.
That's a good
point.
point.
Twice the value, though.
That's rude. Is that it?
Yeah. Fan tax. That's it. Snooze.
And that was Jimmy with the news.
Thank you, Bob.
God, you're a horrible friend.
Yeah.
Okay, so this weekend, of course, we had some good college football that went down. You know what's funny? We had some solid football overall, because in the NFL we don't know who's really going to win it all, because it's really up in the air, which I think is a good thing. I like parity. College football doesn't feel like the same thing. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
So one of the undefeateds have gone down. The Oklahoma Sooners dropped to the Baylor Bears on the road, 27-14, while the Georgia Bulldogs decided, the number 1 team, went out and demolished my Tennessee Volunteers 41-17. So there's a reason why I'm combining these two games.
Okay.
First and foremost, there's two teams that I actually cheer for, which is Oklahoma and Tennessee. I've been a Tennessee fan since I was a kid, and I've been an OU fan because my grandmother's an OU fan, and I've always followed in that footstep to honor her. So we did a video in a part of the podcast a couple weeks ago about OU versus Georgia. So I asked the question, OU's offense, which is the top 5 offense, going against Georgia, which is the number 1 defense in the country, how would it go? And I think Tennessee's game actually gave me some answers, and I will explain why. But let's ask this question first for all the OU Sooner fans that are tuning in.
Okay.
Jimmy, do you think OU's done? Did this loss eliminate them from the playoff?
Oh, completely. They are completely eliminated from this. I mean, the committee, they were popping champagne when this happened, because this is exactly what they wanted, because they hated OU from the start anyway by putting them at 8th 2 weeks in a row when they should not have been. So this is exactly what they're going to use to not only justify wherever they rank them this week. Hell, they might push them into the 20s just because they don't like them, but this is going to put a stain on how they see them for next season as well. They just really didn't seem to have much respect for this OU team in any capacity. So this is, in a way, it's like this is the worst thing that could have happened, or this is maybe the worst kind of loss that could have happened, because this was just one of those games. These are one of the kinds of games that you get in the NFL, and we've seen this for weeks, but this is the kind of game that you don't get in college football, where you have other individuals with subjective opinions who really don't like or respect you, this gives them everything that they need to bury you for the rest of the season. So for those reasons, football-wise, no, I wouldn't believe that they're done. But committee-wise, college football playoff-wise, they're finished.
So I'm opposite. Okay. I'm going to be the optimist around here, cautiously optimist, that I do not believe that OU's done. And this is the reason why. If OU wins out and goes to the conference championship and win, they will play 2 top 15 teams in rankings if everything plays out properly. Baylor right now was ranked 13th going into this game. They will move up. Oklahoma State is going to be top 10 on the next ranking. So they'll face Oklahoma State in Bedlam in 2 weeks. As long as they beat Iowa State, they'll be fine. They should beat them, but that's going to be a problem game because Iowa State was considered the best team, the second best team in the Big 12 going into the season. They beat Iowa State, then they beat Oklahoma State. They will face Oklahoma State a second time, or if Baylor loses, if Baylor doesn't lose, they will face Baylor a second time. And then that's their opportunity against probably a top 10 Baylor to redeem themselves a second time.
Okay.
So having back-to-back top potentially 10 wins should help them maintain a streak to getting in there because you got to look at the other teams that's in there. Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State all have to play each other. There's a guaranteed second loss somewhere. So all of them have to play each other. That moves Oklahoma up. Oklahoma State's above them. That moves Oklahoma up. So you go through all of these teams that's in between there. If with all the losses that will happen, there's a chance that Oklahoma can move. And then you've got really the last one, which is Georgia, Alabama. We'll talk about them in a minute. Oregon has to win out. I don't see Ole Miss, even though they're in the stupid AP poll above everybody. I don't know why. I don't see them helping. And then Notre Dame is really the last cog in the wheel that we have to figure out, and we'll see what they look like. So I think that there is a path to get Oklahoma into the playoff. They just got to win out. That's it. They just got to win out. And it bothers me because it has to be style points wise. That's the most annoying thing about all this is that we are judging teams winning games by blowout or not. And it's like, I want all the games to be competitive. I hate watching blowouts. So we'll see on that. But that is Oklahoma's path into it. There's a lot of breaking down we can do of this game. I don't think that is warranted because it leads back to 3 things that I basically said was going to happen. Is that I was concerned about having a true freshman at quarterback. Those concerns showed themselves. The defense, when they get healthy, they look better. The defense looks better. Looks like they're getting a little bit more healthy. But then when your quarterback throws 2 picks, you can't win if your offense isn't helping you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the third one is that it's college football and you're in the Big 12. He went against Dave Aranda, who demolished him last year in the college football playoff. 2 years ago. Sorry. Yeah. LSU. So, kind of, we're disregarding how good of a coach Dave Aranda is, in which he should take the LSU job. He probably won't last at Baylor. Just like Matt Rule left and went to the NFL. There's a lot of variables to look at, but the good thing for, like I said, Oklahoma, they do have a path to potentially get there.
Well, one thing I will say before I comment on your take there is that the thing that you've been on from the very beginning with Caleb Williams is underthrowing the ball. There was one particular pass where there was an OU guy wide open down the sidelines. I don't think it was an interception, but it was an underthrown ball where the defender was able to catch up to it and disrupt the play. And you're right, that does keep happening over and over and over again. And every time I see that, I come back to your take that, yep, that's going to be problematic. I don't know why that's happening. Hopefully it stops happening. All right, so here's the thing.
Before you go on that, but hold that thought. A OU fan jumped into our comments in YouTube and told me that Lincoln Riley likes when his quarterback underthrows it because it can lead to pass interferences or something like that. When the wide receiver's wide open for a touchdown, that's stupid.
Yeah, you take the touchdown.
It's stupid.
6 points is better than 15 yards.
Thank
20
you.
yards, whatever it is.
Right, because it's 15 yards. It's not a spot foul in the NFL. It's a 15-yarder. Right. You want the touchdown. So for that person that commented on that, that's stupid in this case. I get it for other passes, but when your wide receivers are dusting folks, that's stupid. But go ahead.
So here's the thing, Jay. I definitely appreciate your cautious optimism. And I think that everything that you said was true as far as what would happen, what would need to happen in order for OU to still have a pathway into the top 4 college football playoff. But as you were describing it, part of what I saw, you ever see it's like those scenes in movies where you have like, I don't know, this detective or this crazy person who's trying to string together all of these people in all these scenarios, and they have like that red yarn that tapes everything together. That's exactly
Charlie
what I
Day
saw.
out there. Look, this is what I figured out. Charlie Day right here.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
And so essentially what that means is that...
You think I'm doing that?
Well, I think that too many things have to go right for this OU team to get back into a college football playoff governed by a committee that does not respect them.
They don't like their con, say something about your people.
Somebody your people. So everything that you said can happen to the T, but they will still find a way to keep them out of this college football playoff.
That's a valid point. And that leads over to the next game that we have, Georgia, Tennessee. So once somebody jumped in that video, we talked about OU versus Georgia, how we'd love to see that offense versus defense. I actually don't even want to see OU's defense versus their offense. I just want to see that those two go back and forth nonstop and see who can score more points. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned to me that OU would get destroyed by Georgia's defense, and that's basically the theme about everything about that. Based on the Baylor game, I can see why you could potentially say that. But when OU's offense is firing on all cylinders, I don't know if I can believe that. And this is the reason why. So Georgia beat my Tennessee Vols 41-17. That's not really the tell of the game itself, because the way Tennessee plays football, they start off on fire because of Heupel's offense, and then they fizzle off. It never fails. That's just kind of the way that my Vols have played over the years. Georgia was losing to Tennessee. I think this is one of two times this season they were down for a team.
Yeah.
Tennessee, first drive, just drove down the field. Boom, gone. Then they started driving some more, and then all of a sudden the wheels fell off like it always does. It never fails that way. But the thing that made me think that, I told them that if Georgia hosts Tennessee under 10 points, I will say that Georgia will destroy Oklahoma. Tennessee scored 17 points. With a very mediocre to bad defense and an offense that's so high powered that they don't have a passer that's accurate enough to leverage the speed on the sides. That's what Tennessee did that entire game. That no huddle offense was eating Georgia alive. But this is the thing I respect Georgia the most for. They are fantastic at adjusting. Like, they changed their entire defensive stance against them. And then they put the clamps on a lot of that stuff. Even though Hendon Hooker put up 24 for 37 at 244 with a touchdown, and then Joe Milton III threw a touchdown as well, 88 yards when Hooker got hurt. Georgia did everything they were supposed to do to make it tough for Tennessee offensively, but defensively they just ate Tennessee alive, which our defense isn't that great. So I think that if you want to tell me that Oklahoma couldn't put up numbers against Georgia, just go look at that Tennessee game to start. OU's offense isn't as incompetent as the Tennessee offense is, even though Tennessee's offense is not as bad as people will try to say it is. The problem with Tennessee is our defense, and it's just because it's all young people. It's new with Heupel, but that up-tempo offense was giving Georgia problems. I think OU can do the same thing if they play each other.
I mean, I think when you look at like Lincoln Riley and his track record, and this even goes back to Bob Stoops, a big part of the reason why whenever they meet an SEC team in like bowl games or something like that, generally they don't always win the game, but generally they are able to put up points and move the ball, because when you give a creative offensive mind like a Lincoln Riley 3 weeks to a month to prepare, then they could come up with ways in order to counteract everything you've done, given that they have game tape on your entire season going back to last season, but they have the time to dissect it.
Yep.
Is what that is. So I mean, if Georgia played OU this weekend, for instance, 1 week to prepare, I mean, yeah, OU would probably put up some points, but ultimately Georgia will win and win convincingly. But when you give them more than that, when you give them a month to prepare for that type of a game, I think that they'll be able to put up points on this team, because there's, like, for instance, Georgia practicing, there's not really much you can do to duplicate having to be in the no huddle against a Big 12 team like that, that's just constantly faster than you and constantly always back to the line of scrimmage to call the next play.
Exactly. So OU's defense, and what made them look so much better this week, is Turner Yell's back. Washington played. DJ Graham played. Something that they haven't had over the last few weeks. When you bring those guys back, that's the difference maker that OU can have on the defensive side. And I think that once they get all those veteran players playing consistently, I think they'll gel. OU should look different next week. So let me ask you this.
I was going to ask you one quick question. Where do you think OU is going to be ranked tomorrow night?
Oh, God. College football playoffs is going to push them all the way. They should be like 15th, even at 9-1, which is absurd. They're 9-1.
Yeah.
They've lost to a ranked Baylor team.
Yeah. So where do you think they're going to put them?
Like 15th or 16th. They're going to try to find a way to keep them out of the playoff, but you're going to have to eventually jump them if they start beating top-ranked teams, and top-ranked teams start losing.
Put them in a position to where you keep them out, but you keep them interesting.
Exactly. That's all you want. This is a TV show, like you said. It is. So let me ask you this question. Now that we're looking at this, and the playoffs going to be they're going to pick their teams Tuesday night, which this week I will put a video out. Last week, some unforeseen circumstances happened work-wise. I will put out the video about my reaction to their selections. Is the college football playoff committee trying to make sure that there's 2 SEC teams in the playoff?
So by 2 SEC teams, you're obviously talking about
Georgia, Alabama.
Preferably Georgia and Alabama.
Again, like they do multiple years. It seems like that's what they're doing.
This season, honestly, I don't think so. I mean, I think that, yes, you do want Georgia because of this defense, and they've been the story pretty much the entire season.
Yeah.
Yes, you definitely want them in, but Alabama, and again, this is from the perspective, this isn't from a football perspective, this is from a television show perspective. What's interesting about Alabama this year?
That they're 9-1 and they'll play against Georgia twice. That's it. Like literally, the way that this is set up, Georgia and Alabama are 1-2 in all the polls. They've moved Cincinnati down again, which is annoying. But it's set up to where if Georgia beats Alabama in the ACC championship and it's a close game, they're going to put Alabama back in. They're not going to let Alabama be out.
They can't do that.
With 2 losses, they will be above everybody with 2 losses.
Okay,
because they're going to say that, oh, well, based upon the eye test, which I hate that that's the only thing people say.
Yeah.
The eye test, they're a better team than everybody else.
Okay, so even if they play in the SEC championship, Georgia wins the game on a last-second 20-yard touchdown. They win, let's say, 26-22 or something like that. Even despite that, how can you put this team in a college football playoff in a position to where we might have to watch them play a third time and watch the exact same thing happen a third time? I don't see how they can do that. I don't think they want that.
Because they know that everybody's going to watch it, unfortunately. And to be honest, if that does happen, I'm not going to watch that game again. I'll just wait until the next result.
It'd be like Groundhog's Day. Like, what's the point?
Well, it'll be a second time because they'll only play in the championship game. They won't actually play during the season this year. But it's just you get tired of the complaint about the college football playoff setup is that it's the same teams over and over. And I get why it's the same teams over and over because those top teams are the best recruiters. The reason why they're the best recruiters is because they're the only ones allowed to go to the playoff. If you start letting other teams get in there and schools see and these recruits see that, hey, there's an actual chance we have a path there. And coaches see, hey, I have a path there, so I have no reason to leave this school for a bigger school. You might start seeing different teams, but you're not because they're not going to let anybody else get the opportunity. Cincinnati, if they win this out, put Cincinnati in that bad boy. Just see if Cincinnati, a team full of seniors, can do well against an Alabama, against an Oregon, against Ohio State. I mean, their biggest win this year is the number 6 team in the country right now, Notre Dame, on the road. Let's give them some respect.
This is the year to experiment with the television program. This is a year because I'm telling you, Alabama, I mean, they're still great, still 5-star recruits all over the field, but they're not interesting. Even their quarterback, Bryce Young, is boring. And Alabama's quarterback hasn't been boring for a while. So let's see. I would have more interest in seeing, okay, what is Cincinnati with all this
last year, but okay.
What is Cincinnati with all this bickering that they've done, finally letting him in? Okay, this is interesting. Let's see what they look like. Or what if Notre Dame gets back into it? What if Oregon stands pat? What if Ohio State is in there again? There are, I think, more interesting teams from a television show perspective to have in this than Alabama. This is just a down year interest-wise for Alabama.
Agreed.
It's not going to last long because, I mean, the number 1 star is always going to be there, Nick Saban.
Alabama.
Yeah. But no, I don't think this is the year that they want 2 SEC teams in there.
We'll see.
Well, at least not Alabama.
Yeah. It don't look that way.
All right, Jay. Frozen 5 recap week 10. We were coming off of 3 straight losing weeks, unfortunate weeks, and finally got back on the winning track. A winning week. We went 3-2 this week. My 5 picks, I'll break them down, starting with the 2 L's. First L, we've already kind of talked about. Yeah. The Raiders, pathetic scheming to go away from the defensive plan. Derek Carr became Derek Carr, turning the ball over. You're on your own home field, Sunday Night Football. This is a chance to make a statement. You couldn't do it. So even though you're, a game out of the division, you're not for real. So we can move off of the Raiders this season. We'll see what they look like next year, but the magic is gone. They screwed us over.
The thrill is gone.
2.5 point underdogs, and they lost soundingly. All right, next we have the Colts -10. They ended up winning the game, I believe, by a score of 23-17. For a while, they did have the double-digit lead and were covering, but that Jags team is just slightly better on defense than people think. They're still not a very good team, still young, still 3 or 4 or 5 years away, but they're a little bit better on defense. So if you bet against the Jags with how they've looked over the last 2 weeks, including a victory against Buffalo, bet carefully because they might be in a spot, especially if they're getting double-digit points, where they just might be able to backdoor you in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened here, unfortunately, so we didn't get that one. But to the 3 dubs. First dub, we had the Cowboys at home minus, I believe, 9.5 against Atlanta. And that was over about 6 minutes into the first quarter. Took care of them easily. I saw it. You saw it. Revenge fulfilled for Dan Quinn and Keanu O'Neal. They're back on track, erasing the memory of the Broncos. So that was fairly easy to see. I mean, a little early in the week, I thought about Atlanta. But once I factored in the Dan Quinn thing, I was like, no, there's no way that Atlanta is that team that beat the Saints, and there's no way Dallas is that team that lost to the Broncos like that.
Yeah, and that's what Dallas is. They're back on track of winning against the spread. They were the only against the spread was last week when the Broncos beat them.
Yeah. So they're back on track.
They're back on track.
Yeah. All right. So next we had the Vikings +3 on the road against the Chargers, and the Vikings did their usual thing in order to jizz away the cover, which they had, but the Chargers couldn't capitalize on it. They've kind of been falling these last 3 to 4 weeks. They don't look like how we thought they were going to look after the first 3 or 4 games. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, etc. So so they win the game 27-20, give us the +3 cover. And I can't bet on the Vikings anymore this year. It's just such a heart attack game to watch because they'll give you so many chances to get the cover from them, and the Chargers just going to take advantage of it. So, yeah, that's it for that. And lastly, my favorite bet of the week, to me, honestly, one of the easiest bets of the week was the Panthers +10 on the road against the Cardinals. I knew that how they looked last week against the 49ers are bad, so they are not that team. And I knew that the Panthers still had a good defense. So being without Kyler Murray and being without DeAndre Hopkins, I knew that Colt McCoy and the boys were not going to be able to beat this team. I knew that Cam Newton was going to give them energy. I didn't think he was going to play. I thought it was the energy of him being in the building. Oh, we're going to get him next week. Sam Darnold's probably done for the season, and we can still salvage this and get to the playoffs. But he played and scored and was a part of 2 touchdowns, basically. So Cam out there having a good time, running around, being Cam, which is exactly what I wanted to see. Like I said on my solo, they both were at their best with each other. And they not only covered not needing the +10, but just destroyed the Arizona Cardinals, who we'll talk more about in a little bit. So that was our 3rd dub. So we went 3-2, back on the winning track. Jay, hand it over to you. Another winning week, 2 in a row. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it to it. We're going to do it to him, man.
Yes,
and the way that we're going to do it to him, Jimmy,
yes,
is that you made mention to me before that we're going to go ahead and bring back early lines.
That's what
on this week's $7 challenge.
Jimmy's got questions.
Which, let me ask you this, though, because you know how it comes to...
Jay's got answers.
Yeah, that was terrible.
You did well.
It's the $7 challenge.
You did do well.
I did.
And you normally do well at this every damn time. All right, early lines, Jay. I've got 7 games. These lines come courtesy of the Caesar Sports Book, one of the definitive sports books in Vegas. So I give you 7 games, and you have to give me the spread for this game within a 1.5 either way.
Okay.
Ready?
I think I'm ready for it. Yeah.
All right. So first we have the Colts at the Bills.
Colts are traveling to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Buffalo's better. They're definitely the favorite. It's going to be... They can't give them that much respect. So I'm going to say Buffalo will be 6.5 points.
Correct. Buffalo -7.
Yes! I knew it was going to be about a touchdown. I was thinking a touchdown, but all right, 6.5. Good. I like that.
All right, number 2, Ravens at the Bears.
Okay, so this one is going to be a little weird. Now, the Ravens are definitely favorites on the road, but it's not going to be as high as it should be. I think the Ravens should be a lot higher. Well, defensively, they're a lot better than the Bears are offensively, but the Bears are playing a lot better right now. So, okay, Ravens are favored in Chicago, right?
Yes, it is in Chicago.
Give me the Ravens minus, what would they be at home? Ravens -2.
Incorrect. Ravens -6.
Good God. They think that they would be a double-digit favorite at home? Okay, well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it. We saw what the Bears looked like the last time we saw them, Monday Night Football. Justin Fields rounding into form, and they're off of a bye week. So think about that. All right, up next, Packers at the Vikings.
So the Packers are traveling to Minnesota. It's a divisional game. Packers are definitely favored, and it's indoors. The Vikings did beat the Chargers, even though the Vikings are not a good team. Is this a primetime game?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
No.
so that means that that we should get Kurt instead of Kirk. I'm going to say Packers. You know what? I think that they would give them a big favorite at the house. I'm going to say Packers -5.
Not too far off, but incorrect. Packers -2.5.
Really? Yeah. Okay, so it's a closer game than I thought. Yeah. All right. I respect it.
All right, the football team at the Panthers.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, give me... Wait. The football team is traveling to Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Panthers defense is really good. Panthers -7.
Panthers -3.
Dang. So they think they're even.
And so this is a bit of a revenge game, right, for Ron Rivera?
It sure is. So. And it's Cam Newton getting his revenge, too, since Riverboat Ron's the reason why he lost his job in Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. What's next?
All right, up next, the game we discussed already. $50 on it. Cowboys at the Chiefs.
I have no clue what this would be. I don't think Vegas thinks that they're even at all. But the Chiefs' defense is so bad. But they play good against the Raiders. Chiefs -3.
Correct. Chiefs -2.
Yes.
All right. Which I'm going to take my +2 points on the Cowboys and be all over that since they're going to win convincingly, as I said. Number 6, Cardinals at the Seahawks.
Cardinals against the Seahawks in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if Kyler's playing. Kyler's been up and down. He looked like I thought they was going to play this past week. He didn't. So they're coming off that really bad loss that they shouldn't have lost. Give me in Seattle. Seattle's playing really bad. So the tough part about this is we don't know who's going to play quarterback yet. So give me the Cardinals are favored at -1.5.
Correct, -2.5.
Yes. Now it's Game 7.
Game
finally. 7, 3-3, baby.
All right, here we go. We have the...
It's been a while.
Yeah, and you're going to love this one, Jay.
I hate you.
Monday Night Football. Giants at the Buccaneers.
You would give me this atrociously bad game on a Monday night. The Giants are traveling. The Giants of New York are traveling to play the Buccaneers of Tampa Bay.
Yes.
If this isn't the spread, I'm taking the Giants. If this is not the spread, I am taking the Giants. Tampa Bay -12.
Correct. Tampa Bay -11. How did you know that?
It makes no sense for the Giants to go to Tampa Bay on a Monday night and not be a 12-point dog. It doesn't, especially since Tampa Bay's been like a big dog in a favorite in a lot of games. So it only made sense that it was a 12-point situation. So thank you guys. I will give myself applause.
Well done.
For the applause
4 and 3
music. I lost it. So I'm gonna bring it back. That's all that matters. 4-3. Got those spreads, and I think I know who I'm gonna pick. So Jimmy, this season things have gotten a lot more interesting. I mentioned earlier in the show, and thank you guys for checking it out here on YouTube as well as listening to the podcast. Make sure you share it with your friends if you're on the YouTube that we have a podcast, wherever podcasts download and listen to. For those that are listening to the podcast, check us out on YouTube. You can see our facial expressions and stuff, as well as my t-shirts. I always got something cool on. Jimmy, I mentioned earlier that this season has been interesting because we really don't know who the favorite is. The teams are losing to teams they shouldn't. Buffalo lost to Jacksonville. Arizona took a big L this past week. It's been like up and down everywhere you turn. So, I mean, hell, Washington beat Tampa Bay in a way that we didn't think that was going to expect it. So, it's a fun season. But with that, we've got teams that were good that are falling apart. So, Jimmy, I want to ask you, I have 5 free fallers. I want you to tell me which one of these 5 should be really concerned about their season.
Okay.
All right. Who should be concerned and who has a chance to bounce back? Here's your 5. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You just took that L. Arizona Cardinals. Just took that L. Baltimore Ravens. Just took that L. LA Chargers. Just took that L. Cleveland Browns. Just took that L. Out of those 5, which one season is done and they should be concerned, and which one can bounce back and still has a chance to do big things?
Okay, who has a chance to bounce back and do good things? Tampa. Tampa, last year, they went between weeks 9 and 13. They went 3-4. And then after that, didn't lose a game for the rest of the season, on the way to winning the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going to trust Bruce Arians. I mean, they've just gone through this. They've had a rough 2-game stretch. One against the Saints, divisional game, tough game. And then this game against Washington, who played them really tough last year as well.
Yeah.
So they've got some things that they have to shore up. I'm a little bit concerned about the injuries, though, because they have some injuries on offense that don't seem to be healing, like with AB and with Gronk. And I think Gronk not being there on this offense,
Godwin.
I think that hurts the most for Tom Brady, even if he has all of his receivers, to be honest with you. Because he's that safety blanket. He's the red zone threat. He's the one he's always had that instant chemistry with. So I think always having that in your back pocket on the field makes it a lot easier. He probably throws fewer interceptions if he has Gronk somewhere out there, knowing he's exactly where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. And I am a bit concerned. I think Vita Vea got hurt as well. One of the best defensive tackles in the game. I don't know how serious. Hopefully is not much of anything. But I'm a bit concerned about that. But if there's anybody who can turn it around, still have a great season, and still finish strong, it is Tom Brady and this Buccaneers team, which is still loaded with talent. So to me, they're going to turn it around eventually. Even if they lose their next game, they're not going to lose to the Giants, first of all. But even if they don't win convincingly.
Hey, don't you.
Now, the Giants are going to play them tough. They are going to play them tough.
Don't you pretend like there's not a chance.
But Tampa's going to turn it around. They're going to be fine. As far as whose season is done, give me those names again. One at a time.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
The Chargers. The Ravens.
Hold on. Chargers, they're finished.
Ravens
are finished. Two bad L's. Was it Cincinnati and Miami? They're finished. They're still going to go to the playoffs, but they're finished. I hate that because Lamar was just rounding the corner when it comes to the pass game, and he still might even compete for an MVP, but they're finished. They're done. Yeah.
Cardinals.
Finished. Because Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, even when they come back, they're not going to be 100% for the rest of the season. And J.J. Watt, I mean, they really, really miss him on defense. He's not going to be there. He's out for the rest of the season. So they're finished, too. Sorry, Cardinals fans, but they're finished.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm afraid to hear this one. The Cleveland Browns.
Finished. Baker Mayfield just keeps costing himself millions and millions of dollars. They're finished too. There's no juice on this offense. Now, they do have a bit of a chance once you get Nick Chubb back from COVID. I still think they would have lost this game against the Patriots, but it would not have looked like this if they had him toting the rock. But yeah, I think just Baker Mayfield, he's making so many of the critics that I don't want to be right, he's making them right.
Yeah.
And it's just a tough break, but they're finished.
Okay. So in my opinion, I agree with you on Tampa Bay.
Okay.
They were 11-5 last season. They'll probably be 12-5 this season, or 11-6.
Yeah.
Still win the South, so they'll win their division. So they will make the playoffs, and they'll just go on the road and beat everybody like they do. You don't bet against Tom Brady. I've learned this lesson since like 2015. You stop doing that, because he is too determined to figure it out. And like you said, injuries is our biggest issue right now. Secondary, of course, is beat up. I disagree with you here, though. I don't think Gronk is the key component for him. Okay. I think Antonio Brown is a bigger one. It seems like they created a quick bond in New England to where when last year happened and then this year before he got hurt, they were like almost perfect together. Yep. I mean, besides AB dropping some passes he shouldn't have dropped and Brady had an occasional overthrow, they have a chemistry thing that's ridiculous. And of course, remember, Tom is used to Gronk being hurt because Gronk is, and it's no shade to Gronk. Yeah. It's just that Gronk, as physical as he plays, he always end up nicked up. I mean, he had a couple of playoff runs where he didn't have him. So he had him during the season, built up everything. No Gronk, no problem. He went in and made it happen. I think the receiver running the routes is way more important to Tom than it is the tight end being available, especially with Cameron Braid, O.J. Howard being available on occasion. Mm-hmm. I think the Cardinals are fine, too. I lied. I think the Cardinals are done as well. And this is the only reason why. This is what happened to them last year. They peaked. Mm-hmm. Injuries to Kyler, injuries to other position players. Mm-hmm. They tanked. Their defense is still solid, but the J.J. Watt piece is a little bit more concerning to me because I think that he is the anchor. Is Chandler Jones playing right now? I haven't checked to see
you remember
if he's
Chandler
playing.
Jones
He
asked
was
for a
hurt.
trade. He asked for a trade before the season started.
He did.
Remember
He
that?
asked for a trade before the season start. He decided to play. He was nicked up to start the season, if I'm correct. And so it's kind of a with the way that they're playing right now, and they've got Lyman out, and that's always a concern to have. Oh yeah, Chase Edmonds is now on the IR.
Yep.
So, but the good thing for them is that James Conner somehow found a fountain of youth, even though he's still young as hell.
Right.
Dominant. But the other three, I think the Ravens are fine. Their biggest problem is injuries. They have no health. They lost linemen. They've lost secondary. Everybody just keeps running backs. Everybody just keeps falling out. And Lamar has to figure out how to pick up every piece of the puzzle and do it by himself. That is not a long-term sustainable solution. So hopefully they get some players back, or they pick up somebody, or somebody picks up the slack, and they'll be fine. They're going to make the playoffs, but let me pull that back. I think you're right. They're gonna not make it very far in the playoffs. Chargers are definitely done. They have fallen apart, and I have no clue why. None. And then, I don't know. Justin Herbert's just forgotten how to play football.
You know what's weird about that team is that their precipitous decline, began around the same time as Mike Williams. You remember Mike Williams, the receiver, in a contract year, started out looking like the best receiver in football, and he was for like that first 3 weeks.
The guy that you put on your fantasy roster, and all of a sudden he stops playing football.
There he is.
Yep, everybody picked him up. That's what it is. He got 100% rostered. As soon as he got 100% rostered, he decided to not play again.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not even just 100% rostered. He got 100% starts. And as soon as he got 100% starts, he forgot how to play football again because he was still probably in the 20s or 30s. I'm making this up, but I'm thinking that it feels like that's what happens.
And I don't get it. He's so talented. I don't get why. And this is supposed to be the season where he just finally breaks through. He's out of Clemson, right?
Yep.
And just, you said the exact same thing happens. I don't understand, but yeah.
It seems like there's something with the name Mike Williams because remember Mike Williams from USC? They ended up not playing
I do remember
senior
that.
year, and he tried to go to the league early, and they told him, no, we're not going to let you go early. And then he went to the NFL, and we just forgot that he existed. It seems like that name Mike Williams is just not a good name to have when you're playing in the NFL. So if your name is Mike Williams and you're a wide receiver in college, change it to Michael or Mikey. Just go by something. Go by your middle name.
Mikhail Williams.
Go by your middle name. Just get rid of the M in general. And hopefully your middle name is not L too.
Yeah.
But don't play as Mike because it feels like they just have a curse on them right now. But last one, Browns. Yeah, man. Baker Mayfield sitting at home watching Derek Carr with a $100 million contract, Jared Goff with a $100 million contract, trying to figure out why the hell can I get that? And it's unfair for us. It's fair to scrutinize the way he's playing, but it's unfair to look at him as if he doesn't play for the Cleveland Browns. He has been the most stable thing they've had outside of the running game. Hell, I can't remember. Since when?
From a quarterback position?
Yes.
Since, one season of Derek Anderson?
And I don't even think that was very stable.
No, that doesn't count.
But you have to give Mayfield those props, that they look like a better NFL team, but at the same time, he's making mistakes. Is he long-term answer? To be honest, they need to go ahead and just extend him and keep him. I think if they build up a defense, he can do enough to not ruin it. And the second thing about him, and this is the key component about it, I think their offense needs to make some changes. I think they need to get out of this timing offense and trying to force his accuracy and start letting him kind of freestyle more. I don't feel like he freestyles. I think he literally follows everything by the book, and I think that's a problem. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I may be wrong. All the analysts out there that break down film, you may see something different.
Yeah, Greg Cosell might agree or disagree with you.
Exactly, but I don't know. I had to ask the PFF guys what they think about your boy Baker when it comes to that portion. So, thanks for checking us out here on the YouTubes as well as listening to the podcast. Or podcasts are downloaded and listened to. Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
We just passed the midway mark. Week 9 is technically the exact middle of the season. Now they play 17 games, which I think is 18 weeks total. So we are now at the middle point of the season. Actually, what week was last week? Was that week 10?
Week 9.
Week 9? Was it 9? Or is it 10?
It was week 9 last week. It's week 10 this week.
So week 10 this week. So the week that we're playing in right now is week 10.
Yes.
But anyway, we're in the middle. That's all that matters. We are in the middle. And, actually, we are in week 10. I just looked at the top of this, so we're in week 10. So, anyway. I love having fun with this.
Craziness.
So, Jimmy, now that we are in basically the midway point, just a little bit past it. We have to give out our midseason awards, right?
Yes,
we talked about who we thought was going to be MVP and all of this stuff, but I wanted to switch it up because I think that we should just, show some love to people that have had a good start to the season. So, Jimmy, let's go on into midseason awards.
All right.
We're going to talk about who the biggest surprises were, biggest disappointments, teams and players, as well as who our offense and defensive MVPs are, as well as who's the best team offense and the best team defense. You ready?
I'm ready.
To start. Jimmy, who do you think is the biggest surprise? Team and player.
Team and player. All right, team, especially after week 10, after this week, I'm going to say the Patriots. I don't think anybody not only expected them to be 6-4 at this point, but to legitimately look like they can not only get into the playoffs, but actually beat some teams in the playoffs. It looks like Lord Helmet, Bill Belichick is back. He's got a Tom Brady clone who's 30 years younger. And even though he's a rookie, he doesn't play like one most of the time. That's been the biggest surprise, especially how they've been winning games. They've been beating teams pretty badly. They got some tough losses on their schedule. I understand that. But how they beat down the Browns, who I picked to go to the Super Bowl this season, and the week before that, how they beat the Panthers, who are nowhere near as bad as they looked last week. I'm really impressed by what this team has done. So I'm going to say biggest surprise for me is the Patriots. Biggest surprise as far as player, I'm going to say, this might surprise you, but it shouldn't. Deebo Samuel of the 49ers, who is second behind someone we'll probably mention a little bit later, second in receiving yards. I know he's been a good receiver. He had a good rookie season, down year last year. I didn't expect him. I never thought of him as that kind of receiver who could be second, third, top 5 in receiving yards. That's never really been his game. He's more of a weapon, more of a gimmicky player. I think. He's still a good player. But that has really surprised me. And he's been one of the lone bright spots on my 49ers team. So I'm going to say Deebo Samuel.
It's impressive. Okay, it's interesting. So I'm with you. So my biggest surprise is the Patriots as well. The one thing that didn't surprise me is how good the defense is going to play. Defense is top 5 DVOA now as they're coming into their prime going into this week. We'll see what it looks like after. Well, actually, they should move up after what they did to the Browns. And I'm not going to go as far as saying that they have a Tom Brady clone at quarterback, even though Tom Brady did not play very well. Put like this.
But as far as the style,
arguably, Mac Jones and Tom Brady do look similar in their first couple years.
Style of play.
They look similar. But the biggest surprise for me is that they were able to rattle off wins against a win against the Chargers, who's reeling, and the Browns. I thought the Browns should have played a lot better in that one. But at the same time, we know Belichick. He takes away your best weapon. What did they take away in that game? The run game. They forced Baker Mayfield to beat them, and it did not work out. Did the same thing as the Panthers, Chargers, and the Jets, which, whatever, it's the Jets. Yeah, Jets. But no, I think that this was the perfect scenario for Mac Jones. We talked about this at the draft. So they did very well with that, and overall the team does look good. I don't think that they win anything in the last part of their schedule. I think they're going to struggle for 4 games straight because Mac Jones has had some comically bad games. And because he's had some comically bad games, it tells me that as good as we think that this kid is, he's only a rookie, which is the reason why I'm saying this. I can't wait to see what it looks like in 3 years. Player, Jonathan Taylor. He's tied now for number 1 in NFL in yards at 937 yards. Tied with who?
Derrick Henry.
Who had this for like 5 weeks. Yes. He's been gone half the season, and he's already leading the league. But no, Jonathan Taylor has dominated the run game for the Colts, and he looks like the bright spot for this team, and he's making Carson Wentz look good. I love that about Jonathan Taylor. I was concerned about him coming in this year, and I love seeing that he's just like, F this, I want to be the number 1 running back in the NFL. It did take him 10 games to get to what Derrick Henry got in 8, but I love what he did. Disappointing teams. All right, biggest
disappointment in player, team and player. Team is 49ers. Just a comedy of errors, of things gone wrong, but I don't want to hear this. Injuries. I mean, we dealt with all that last season.
Right.
It's everything from injuries to game planning to to so many things going wrong with this team that by this point we expected them to be a lot better than what they are. They're probably going to have taken another L by the time y'all hear this show or watch this video. Against the Rams tonight with Odell Beckham Jr. Probably go for 5 touchdowns against them. He's not going to do that. Off from the punt. 5 punt returns. But nothing has gone wrong. Huge disappointment. A lot of people had them picked to go far early in the season. I always thought the team is not who you thought they were, but I didn't think they were going to look like this. So Shanahan might be coaching for his job. Player, biggest disappointment, somebody we already talked about, Baker Mayfield. 22nd in total passing yards, 9 touchdowns and 4 picks this season. He's a better quarterback than that. He's got so much to work with that his numbers, his play should be better than that. I know he's had some injuries kind of here and there throughout the season, and I think he even got nicked up some in this game as well. But it's so disappointing, especially in a year where he's trying to get paid, where he's been that stability at the quarterback position that they haven't had since Bernie Kosar probably.
Yeah, exactly who it is.
Yeah, that I wanted to see him do so much better than this, and he just hasn't. It's like turning into a bit of a lost season if they keep taking losses like this. So Baker Mayfield is probably my biggest disappointment.
So my biggest disappointment team-wise, to go with your 49ers, I totally understand because I tried to tell y'all that they weren't going to make the playoffs. I had somebody jump in my mentions and say, man, 49ers are better than what you're trying to say they are. Okay, cool story, bro. They're not. But as far as team, Seahawks. I don't know what the hell's going on with that defense.
What was that yesterday?
I don't know what that was yesterday, but I know that Jamal Adams trade was awful.
Oh man,
it's looking worse and worse every week. And I like Jamal Adams.
He can't cover me.
He is if they could play him like they play Michael Parsons, he will be great. Put him out there linebacker or the edge rusher.
That's the answer.
It. But they can't. They got to play him at safety. Right. They have to. And that trade's looking worse and worse every week. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Seattle, y'all are disappointing hell to me. Player, to be honest, is Tua.
Oh,
number 5 draft pick.
True. That's a good point.
We were tanking for Tua at one point. Mm-hmm. Remember those chants? We're tanking for Tua.
I remember that.
And he does not look like he's an NFL quarterback. Now, I think it's also a product of his environment. Honestly, I think if you put him in New England, he plays a lot different. I think coaching matters. I like Flores' defenses typically. Mm-hmm. Their defense is not as potent as I wanted them to be this year. As DVOA wise, they are like 25th with the 28th ranked offense. God, they're just bad. Yeah. And I think Tua just does not he looks out of place. So if Miami moves on coach wise, well, at the same time, they've already just crushed his confidence because they're trying to get Deshaun Watson. So what do you do, right? Mm-hmm. He's my disappointment this year. Yeah, offense and defensive MVPs.
Offensive MVP is Cooper Kupp. Leading the league in receiving yards. Jonathan Taylor's going to push him. Patrick Mahomes and Brady, they're up there as far as passing yards. But I think Cooper Kupp, he's got the better storyline because he came out of nowhere. He's always just like that little engine that could. His name's Cooper, little cute Cooper over there. I'll do my best.
It's just horrible. That's horrible.
So I hope he ends the season the league leader in receiving yards. We'll see him again tonight against the 49ers. So I'll say Cooper Kupp. Defensive MVP, Trayvon Diggs. I think it's Night Train Lane who has the record for most interceptions in a season, which is 14. I think he's got a legitimate chance to be in the right spot at the wrong spot at the right time, or the right spot at the right time, or the wrong spot at the right, whatever it is. At least I see he'll tie the record 6 more times. At least he'll be in that spot. But with the 17th game, he might actually break it. So for right now, it's Trayvon Diggs. Because he, on a few of those early season games, he's the one who closed the door. He's the one who truly capped off
the game.
That game.
He capped him off.
Yes,
Yeah,
Trayvon Diggs.
Okay. Offensive MVP for me, I love the Cooper Kupp pick. Mine's Lamar Jackson. He's top 10 in passing and top 10 in rushing yards this season. He's on pace to break his own rushing record, single season rushing record. And that's because he's also got like 4 running backs that they got off the street.
Yeah.
Literally off the streets because they lost 2 running backs before the season started, basically. Mm-hmm. So Lamar's doing everything. And at a certain point, the human body has its limits, and that's why you're starting to see some games where he's just ridiculously good, and then the next game he's just because that happens. You can't do everything. You need to mix it up to where teams aren't just keying in on everything that Lamar does. The good thing about him, though, is that since he can scramble so well, it helps. The problem is he's trying not to, and it's starting to affect him. So he may need to start focusing on trying to get design runs out of the pass to get them going. Defense, same thing, Trayvon Diggs. He's going to break that record. And I think he's going to break that record before the 17th week, so it's going to make it look even better for him. I think he finishes with 16 interceptions in 16 weeks.
If he gets anywhere from 11 plus, they're going to give it to him because it's been so long since we've seen a cornerback. Matter of fact, being the kind of cornerback like a Deion Sanders or a Revis where they just stop throwing the ball to you, it's hard to get any interceptions because they don't throw the ball your way. Him, like I said, always being in the wrong spot at the right time. He's just going to be enough times in the right spot to, I'm supposed to be, caught it.
Honestly, I think that's a plot by him. I think he gives up coverage yards to get teams to pass to him so he can get interceptions.
Yeah.
That's my conspiracy theory about the way Diggs plays football.
Tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil, best. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Who's the best team offense and the best team defense?
Best team offense, I came down to 3 teams. I said it's either Dallas, Buffalo, or Rams. If I was a defensive coordinator, which team would I fear the most? And that is the Dallas Cowboys. So to me, that is the best offense led by Dak Prescott. That is the most impressive offense that I've seen this year. Defense, this might surprise you. I'm going to say, and people aren't talking about this defense, the Packers.
They have a really good defense.
They have a really
right
good
now.
defense. They've given up.
Good.
They've given up an average of 11 points over the last 4 games. Including blanking the Seattle Seahawks like we talked about yesterday, getting Russell Wilson back. So I think the Packers, they're sneaky good. And in the NFC, in the grand scheme of things, as much as I've gained a bit of a distaste for Aaron Rodgers off the football field, this may be one of the best teams in football that is there in the end, yet again, to challenge the Buccaneers for the right to go to the Super Bowl. So people are kind of sleeping on them. But yeah, Packers.
I'm not mad at that. Okay. Best offense, mine came down to 3. I looked at it over, but I decided midseason, when healthy, Arizona Cardinals. You have no answer for Kyler Murray and the way that he's been passing the ball. And the one thing that he does, especially where the receivers are playing and the run game has been really good and James Conner has stepped up with Kyler out, if he does that when Kyler's back healthy, even not even 100%, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's where you're going to run into problems because Kyler doesn't scramble to get yards. He scrambles to throw a pass. And you cannot hold those receivers, Christian Kirk, Rondé Moore, A.J. Green, and then DeAndre Hopkins. You can't hold them. And then Connor catching it out the backfield.
And you factor in Zach Ertz, too.
And in Ertz out there tight end, you cannot hold them long enough, especially the way Kyler scrambles. If he comes back at least 75%, that offense is going to be a problem.
True.
Defense might surprise you. Dallas Cowboys. All 3 phases, like you said. Defensive line, they get good pressure. Lawrence isn't back yet, so Tank Lawrence isn't back out there.
And they lost Gregory. Gregory's on IR as well.
Oh, God. Yeah. So if their pass rush can try to maintain something, I think they will be fine. Linebackers, Parsons, my God. He's stupid. And Vander Esch is looking good.
Yeah,
he's healthy.
He is.
I love it. When he's healthy, he's amazing. He just can't stay healthy, in which I think he can now. And then, of course, secondary between Anthony Brown and Trayvon Diggs, which, like I said, I think that's a ploy. I think they purposely give up yards so that they can go out there and get interceptions. I love it if they're doing that for real. So my defense is that.
Yeah. All
right. Jimmy.
Yeah, about that editing room floor.
We don't have anything on the editing room floor this week?
I got something for you. Well, first thing, so you know the spread of the game tonight, Monday Night Football, Rams taking on the 49ers in San Francisco. If you had to play that game, where would you have played that line?
I would have taken the Rams. Rams, I think they're favored in this game on the road.
Yes, -4.
I would take the Rams.
A lot of people like Colin and so forth. They took
49ers.
They took 49ers
right now. The numbers
4.
look good because all of the bets. I think it's like 80% when I looked this morning. All the money's on the Rams, and the line hasn't moved. But now we're starting to shift because I think people are betting more and more on it, and they're realizing that we've got to adjust this line to get the 49ers at least try to get it back even. But yeah,
I think it could be a bit closer than people think because they're trying to get. They're trying to get OBJ acclimated. I don't know where he's going to fit. If he's going to take over the 2 spot, probably not for the Rams, but or play in the slot. I mean, there's a lot that they're going to have to try to figure out.
Right. He'll probably play slot to start. I know this game he's going to do secondary or whatnot so that he can play. I'm sorry, not secondary. Play special teams. Get some punts in just to get himself, in Ram shape.
Okay. Yes. Just kind of going off the top here. Have you seen DeMar DeRozan lately and how him and that Bulls team are playing?
So I haven't paid much attention to the NBA as much as I should, but I have kept up with some little things. And God, DeMar DeRozan does
the mid-range king. They're calling him now.
Yes, he's doing everything, and sometimes you can tell the right environment just makes guys good.
I mean, and with that, so Jay, if the playoffs started today, into the playoff game at the 10th spot would be the Oklahoma City Thunder.
They're going to be better than y'all think. They'll tank at the end of the season, but they're going to be really good through most of the season just because they have a fun roster that's really young. They have the youngest team in the league.
Yeah.
Which is by design.
They really are fun to watch. And in the Eastern Conference at the 10th spot, you'd have the Boston Celtics, who just continue to disappoint me over and over and over again. Can Jason Tatum do better than shooting 25% from the floor every single game? His efficiency is like the polar opposite of Kevin Durant's.
He's falling apart. I don't know what it is. I guess the hype got to his head. But even funnier is the Bucks and the Hawks aren't even going to make the playoffs if we started today.
No, they're out of the playoffs. And at the number one spot in the Eastern Conference, the Washington Wizards, 9-3.
Look at that.
About a game up on the Brooklyn Nets. So I say all that to say it's early in the season. We know it really doesn't matter. It's going to change up, be different later on in the seasons. But it's been kind of strange. It's been interesting though. I've liked the NBA so far this season. Golden State sitting there at 11-2.
I'll be in on the NBA Christmas.
I know.
As I always do. So we appreciate y'all joining us as usual here on Unfair Sports. Please share, like, subscribe, comment on the YouTube channel, as well as rate us, review us, and give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Just give us 5 anyway.
Gift it.
And hit us up on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906. So for Mike, Bob, and Wendy, thank you so much for doing what you do best. I love you all. For Jimmy, we'll have, of course, the fantasy update later this week. I will put out a couple videos. I need to redo my power rankings, which will probably happen tomorrow night, as well as my college football reaction.
Where can they get your Frozen 5 this week?
My Frozen 5 will be I'm a put it on our Twitter account at Unfair Sports. I do plan on recording something to go with it. We'll just see if times happen the way it should. So you can check the YouTube channel, turn the notifications on, see if a video pops up. If it doesn't, it means I didn't have time. If it does, it means I did have time and it went up. So with that, we will chop it up with y'all in a few days. Peace.